Let's go ahead and call the meeting to order. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you and welcome to our meeting of the Board of Commissioners meeting. Just want to remind everybody this meeting is public and we are recording it audio and visually as well on video. So if you do end up coming to the microphone, please state your name and your address when addressing the board. Awards, recognitions, and correspondence. Employee of the Quarter. I actually have that one right here in front of me. So this is the Umatilla County Employee of the Quarter Award, and Umatilla County is proud to present this award of excellence to L.G. Bullock. L.G. Bullock has been with Umatilla County since September 1st, 2004, and currently holds the position of Bridge Crusher Foreman. He recently received a detailed thank you letter from a taxpayer for the work done on the roads up on the Walla Walla River during the recent flooding. She described how he worked tirelessly from daylight to dark, working on making the roads passable so that people could get back and forth to their homes. It's important to note that during this time, his own personal home was affected by the flood, but he prioritized it last, only after everyone else was taken care of. She was impressed with his hard work and dedication, as well as the speed in which he was able to get the road reopened. Congratulations, LG, and thank you very much. And along with that, he gets 8 hours of paid time off to use at his discretion. And he also gets parking space, too, out here.
Helpful.
I don't know if he'll use it very often, but he has one. So, so congratulations to LG, and we will get this to him. We can get that to Tom and get that to him. Any other awards recognitions?
None.
Okay. Acknowledgments of the previous meeting minutes from March 11th and March 18th.
Mr. Chair, I move approval.
Second.
Motion is second. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
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 Okay. Any additions to the agenda?
There is one. You received it earlier this morning. It's setting a hearing for an annexation to a fire district, and it's item number 24 on the monitor.
Doug, is the fire district annexation, is it on the agenda this morning?
Yes.
Is it on here? I didn't see it.
It's
Not on
the
there.
printed
It's
one,
on,
no.
turn around, it'll be on.
It is on the monitors.
It's on a,
Yeah.
okay,
That was printed before. So.
Yes, it was added this morning.
okay.
Okay. You may notice that we are doing things a bit differently. We don't have our council up next to us because we're trying to practice social distancing. So, okay. Any input from recognition of visitors that are not on the agenda? Okay. So, first item is Livestock Road legalization. We're going to open up into a public hearing mode. We're going to come out of regular meeting, go into public hearing mode just to continue it.
Yes, this will just be continued to the first board meeting in May.
Okay, to May 6th. Okay. So
I move the hearing be continued until May 6th, 2020 at 9 a.m.
Second.
motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
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 Motion carries. Okay, do we have Tom Fellows on the phone?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Look at that.
Imagine that. Technology works.
Don't get too used to it.
Sometimes.
Yeah. Well, same.
So the first one, Tom, is the payable for Rod Anderson Construction for $20,051.66.
Okay. For the record, Tom Fellows, Public Works Director. Yeah, this was for riprap that we purchased from Rod Anderson and used up on the Umatilla River for bank protection on after we've got our road back intact. So I don't remember. We might have one or two more of these moving forward, but this should just about be the bulk of it.
Okay.
Tom, this is money that in time will come back from FEMA?
Well, that would be my hope. Actually, Commissioner, this is an on-system road, and I believe that this money is going to be federal highways money, and depending on whether they consider it permanent repair or initial emergency repair will be the difference between 100% reimbursement or 89% reimbursement.
Fact of the matter is, we owe the bill now, right?
Yes. Yep. All of these.
Go ahead.
Any of this emergency work that we've done is all reimbursable, which means that we have to put the money up front and then receive the money on the tail end coming back to us.
Mr. Chair, move approval.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
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 Motion carries. Number 3 is road department payment for engineering.
Okay, what this is Dorothy Bridge up the Wall River.
Yep.
In fact, it is the bridge right next to LG Bullock's house. We already paid Don Jackson for the repairs on that. It came in a little over $10,000 under budget, which was really good. And Anderson Perry isn't as quick on their billing, so this is the engineering bill for that project up there for $8,938.50.
Okay, any questions?
Interesting, I was up there twice last week, and it's amazing how you can still obviously see the damage of the flood, but it's beginning to diminish in terms of immediate visibility. They've made a lot of headway. So I would move we pay this.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Columbia County Road Department payment to Columbia County, rather.
Yeah, as the commissioners will probably remember, Columbia County offered to send us some men and equipment. They actually ended up sending 5 dump trucks, an excavator, 2 pickups, 6 personnel. They were up here for well over 2 weeks, I believe. Quite honestly, I lost a little track of time right in there. I couldn't tell if it was 2 weeks or 2 months, but their entire bill for all the work that they did was $102,374.31. And I will tell you that we wouldn't be as far along today as we are had they not come up and helped us. They were, it was help that we really needed at the time.
Is that a typo on the pinky then?
Look at the next page to see.
The pinky shows 102,372.31.
Yeah, that is a typo.
So on the pinky, it's okay. No worries. That's making sure that was a.
Yeah.
So.
I've seen several of the commissioners at other meetings and events since this occurred and have lost no opportunity to thank them for what they've done and for what they sent.
Likewise.
Expressed our appreciation.
Yeah, I feel, even at that, I think it's probably a very good deal.
Yeah.
No question.
Very much appreciated that they came and helped us out in our time of need.
I'd move approval.
Second.
Motion is second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Harris Park line repair.
I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, Doug, is that's Umatilla Electric payable for
Yes,
the $13,000? Okay, what that is Umatilla Electric, when the original estimate was that they wouldn't have power to us before middle of May, I spoke with them and they were able to get up there and get us power before that. As part of this repowering the park, we went with an option to put the power underground and put it in a little better location where if this ever happens again, it shouldn't be the issue about losing power like we had. The difference in the cost between them just restoring what was originally there and putting it underground instead was $13,443. John and I did have a conversation about it, and I think we're both of the feeling that it was probably a far better deal for the county to put this underground.
Yeah, I completely agree, Tom.
I move we approve the payment.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay. I don't think you're off the hook yet, are you? No, another Harris Park bridge repair excavation.
Yeah. This is actually two separate bills from Don Jackson. One of them was for the actual bridge removal. As you probably recall, the bridge going across to Harris Park, it is a county road bridge, but it was completely washed out during the flood, and we had to remove the deck structure, which is with concrete segments, and also remove one of the wing walls. So that work was. Hang on just a second. I got to pull that payable up. That was $14,814.77 on the road repair side of it. The other repair was the work that Don Jackson actually did, cleaning up the slide material in the park. They moved about somewhere in the neighborhood of 10 to 12,000 yards of material out of the park and off from the driveways and whatnot. That bill came to $19,100. Don Jackson actually donated another $8,000 worth of work up there to the park. He recognizes what the park does for the community up there, and he's very community minded and wanted to make sure that we knew that the bill would have certainly been much more than that. So the total for these two bills comes to $33,914.77, and so we're requesting payment of these two bills to Don Jackson.
Move approval.
I would second, and I would add to the motion that we include a letter from the board acknowledging the donation of the $8,000 with a thank you to Don Jackson for that.
Written by the chair. I approve of that. Adding that to the motion.
Got a motion and a second. All in favor of the motion say aye.
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 Motion carries. I'm going to take this time just to remind everybody that your phones are live, and if you're not speaking, to please mute your phone. For those that are listening, I have the ability to mute phones from my laptop right here, and I did take that opportunity. I heard a lot of banging on one of the lines, so I muted that line. So if you try and talk, and I won't hear you. So do know that some lines are muted. So thank you. Okay, so next on the agenda is another Harris Park payable, electrical repair.
Yeah, what this is we hired Blue Mountain Electric during the flood when the overhead power went out. We also lost a number of services and a lot of our internal wiring to some of the buildings and whatnot. And so we had to get Blue Mountain Electric to come up, and they replaced the services. We consolidated them into one 600 amp service, and then we're running individual lines to the buildings that were where the service buildings and some trailer spaces where the services were lost. So this $16,000 what is it? Let me take a quick look. $16,000, $695 was the bid that Blue Mountain Electric submitted to us, and I believe Commissioner Schaefer actually signed that, and we returned it to Shane accepting that bid, and they've actually started the work.
So Tom, with all the work that's being done up there, the electrical and the excavation, the repairing the bridge and so on, how's the park looking?
Quite honestly, I'm very happy with where we are up there today. We have grass growing back. I'm not so sure they're not going to have to be mowing yards here pretty quick. And the cleanup is going very well. Once we get the electricity in, we can fully assess our water system. We do know that we have some things we're going to have to repair there also. But all in all, the park looks, I think, based on what it looked like 3 weeks ago, I think it looks really good.
So your initial statement that it wouldn't open this year probably won't be true?
I hate to go out on a limb given what's happening to us with the coronavirus and whatnot, but I think we're looking at the possibility of opening as early as June. That may be a bit optimistic, but I really want to be optimistic about what's going on up there, because I think it's going pretty well. We will have to open with a temporary bridge, though, so folks are going to have to be using the temporary structure, because there is no way we can have a permanent bridge in there before probably August or September.
Apparently there isn't much of a weight limit on that bridge, though, since isn't that what the concrete truck used?
Yeah, that bridge is actually, I don't have the information in front of me, but that came from Lane County, and they went to the trouble of actually having an engineer load rate that bridge, and I don't remember what it's rated for, Commissioner, but it's certainly more than enough to hold up a RV.
So we've
hauled about 200 tons of riprap across it already, plus that concrete truck. So it's doing pretty well.
It could probably make it.
Yeah, it might hold up.
So we need a motion.
Yes.
I would move approval.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Do you want to vote?
Thank you. I think I'm done now.
Actually, I think you are too. So thank you very much. Appreciate you calling in.
Thank you.
Okay, courthouse access order update.
Okay, this is being done in coordination with the presiding judge. We have always had on the second and third floor of the courthouse, as well as the second floor of the Stafford Hansel Government Center, restrictions on what people can bring in. Since the screening device is now on the first floor, the proposal is to change all those restrictions to include the first floor of the courthouse. It'll remain the same at the Stafford Hansel Government Center, but on the first floor of the courthouse, now the change is primarily is that pocket knives will not be allowed. And in addition, as has been customary in the past, guns and other weapons. And everyone entering the courthouse will now be screened.
Perfect. So at this, after this is in place, the only people with a firearm in the building will be police officers. Is that
right? Unless they have a license as well.
Okay. The only thing I would recommend is we not implement this until the screening station gets moved to its permanent location, because the doors are being replaced right now or moved, and because the only reason I say that is once they start pouring the concrete here in a few days, the only entry will be at the south end where the current handicap accessible ramp is now, and then there's going to be people who will come in the door and then they may go into records, for instance, but the screening station's clear down here. So then and this will just be a matter of days. It's not, that's the only, and I didn't talk to you about this, but I was thinking about it while I was walking by.
I believe the effective date is on the order, so I think that will probably have to be changed.
Oh, what's the effective date on the order?
I think at the very end, let's see. Yeah, as today. So that will need to be changed if you want to delay the implementation.
Yeah, I think we're going to have to delay the implementation until that piece gets done. Otherwise, we'll have to walk them down, screen them, and then walk them back.
Okay.
Which we could do that too. I'm thinking, sorry.
We can do that as part of the motion, adding in there that we would approve this order, implementation to be coordinated with the completion of the front entry.
Oh.
Or do we need to have a specific date
If
there?
we need the date, we can probably leave the date as is, and then, because right now there's not that much foot traffic coming in, so I think we'd be okay. Most of the traffic's going up to the courthouse anyways, for the courts. So yeah, let's just leave it on the first.
Okay.
So, let's leave it, so. Sorry.
If you came in that end and went to records, you still would have to go past security, wouldn't you, to get upstairs to the
To
courts?
get upstairs, yes, but if
Past
you're,
the courts?
but if the only business you had at the courthouse was records, like you're getting a passport.
But if you were going to access the courts, you would still have to go past security.
Right, that's what yeah, so.
I move we adopt BCC 2020-024.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
The motion carries. Weir grants. Is Bob Walter on the phone?
He should be. You may have to unmute him.
Oh, maybe that was Bob I muted.
You probably would, because that's where the hammering you hear is in planning.
Ah. Bob, are you on the phone now? C6252?
Can you hear me now?
I have you now, yes.
Okay, I was on mute due to the construction.
Double muted.
Yeah, you're double muted because I muted you too.
All right. All right. Aware grant. So our committee met last week? I can't remember. But anyway, we put together, there were a total of 12 applications that were received. We had 141,000 to work with. The total amount requested totaled 172,000. So with that, the committee was able to fund all of the applications in full except one of them, which is the City of Athena, Weston McEwen High School softball field bathrooms. They're working on a bathroom project that'll also include a concession stand, I believe. And so we were able to trim some off on that, recognizing that they're probably not going to have a softball season. We felt pretty comfortable with that, and then would ask them to come back next year if they're still needing additional funding. So with that, we were able to fund all the projects except one we cut back on.
There's two, wasn't
there were a couple of, I believe we were able to fund all of them.
Well, there's the tennis court nets, the indoor nets, and then there was something else from the school that I thought.
Oh, yeah. So, thank you, Commissioner. So there was a cook stove for the elementary school. They ended up funding that through another source, so that application was pulled from the total. And then the tennis nets, they were able to purchase those locally, I believe. And again, they're probably not having a tennis season, so they pulled that one as well. We also had a couple projects from last year, the 2018-2019 grant submittal, and those projects were completed, but some of the invoicing was lagging a little bit behind, and since those funds had already been allocated to those, we just granted an extension for those. So that's kind of an update on what the AWARE committee came up with, and we're seeking board approval.
I move for the approval of BCC 2020-021.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? The only thing I'd like to add is I want to thank the committee for their hard work. It was kind of interesting with the social distancing. Lori Charisma really went out of her way to make sure we didn't violate the governor's order. So appreciate all the work you did on that, Bob. So, okay.
Great, thank you.
All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Okay, next on the agenda is Census Day proclamation. Oh, that's you as well, isn't it?
Yeah, so had we not have the coronavirus situation going on, I think today's date, which is Census Day, would be probably in the news a lot more than what we're seeing. But it is still April 1st is 2020 Census Day, and we're again encouraging people to take advantage of this time where they may have at home to respond to the census. This is the first year you're able to do it online, so we're definitely encouraging that. As far as schedule goes for the census, it's kind of a moving target. The dates keep getting pushed out further into 2020. You might recall that the last 3 days were supposed to be dedicated to the homeless count and group enumeration, and that's being pushed out several months. And the actual final date for the census has also been moved. I'm trying to get to the calendar here to see when that is.
While you're looking for that, Bob, I got a question for you. I read in the paper today that the Marigold Hotel has housing a lot of the homeless population here in Pendleton. Would that be a good opportunity to find some of those folks and get them registered for the census?
Yeah, it possibly could be. I just don't know that they have enumerators available at this time. The deadline for that has been pushed out to May 1st, so we may. I'll coordinate with our partnership specialist to see if that would be an option to, if there's someone available to count that population and during this time.
We could send the
Like I
EO
said, that's
over
been
there. They
pushed.
had 61 today.
61 new ones today?
I just read in the paper today, there's 61 people living there.
Yeah,
That was
so
for the group capital.
I thought 61
Yeah.
from the EO were there.
No, they don't have
Not that many later
They
on.
don't have that many people left.
the online and phone and mail options for self-response has been extended to August 14th. Originally, it was July 31st, but on our complete count call the other day, they expected it may go out further than that. We just don't know yet.
You know, I got to say, I did mine last night online, and it was
Really hard.
really simple. I was very impressed. I thought, wow.
I did mine as well. And
Yeah.
it's a simple process for anyone to get online and take care of that.
Yeah, so as a state, we are tracking about 38% people have already self-responded. As a nation, the average right now is about 36%. Here in Umatilla County, we're lagging behind. We're about 28.5%. So we have quite a few efforts with our complete count committee that'll be taking place over the next few weeks. We're working with Pac West Communications. They've developed some materials that can be put into school lunch bags as well as homework packets. So we're beginning the process of distributing those to the schools so they can go home to families. And then we also sent out mailer that would go to people with P.O. boxes since they wouldn't be receiving the letter from the Census Bureau. So some of those things I think we'll see our numbers pick up as folks become more aware of the census, and I think hopefully this proclamation will help a little bit too.
Well, I noticed Facebook stepped up efforts to get the word out. It's all over Facebook too. So, but and now's a good time. You know, people are cooped up at home. It's a perfect time to fill that out online. So I highly encourage people to do that. Okay, is there a motion? Do we have a motion on that one?
Bill has it.
I move that we adopt order BCC 2020-023.
Second?
Got a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Thanks, Bob. Appreciate it.
All right, thank you.
Okay, admin services payable for elevator maintenance.
Is there anyone on the line for that?
I don't know, is Dan, are you on the line? He's got like 3 different phones open, but I think I'm using one of them. So, okay. I guess we'll just,
Okay, if not, this is a regular payable before the board because of the dollar amount. It is for the maintenance on the Stafford-Hansel Government Center elevator. It is budgeted, and so the request is just to approve the payable to Otis Elevator.
Move approval.
Second?
motion is second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Aye.
Okay, I think Paul's been patient on the phone. It's his turn now for the charter communications piece. Paul, did you want to talk to that?
Sure. Paul Chalmers for the record, Director of Assessment and Taxation for Umatilla County. These 2 accounts that we're talking about are state responsible utility accounts, one being Central Lake, which is under appeal. The other is Charter Communications, which is under appeal. The issue with these is simply the fact that we don't value these locally. These are valued by the state. And
Paul,
those companies have...
Paul, this is only for their charter communication. The one for CenturyLink was approved last week.
Thank you. All right. So Charter has a 7-year history at this point in time of taxes, liability. And so we're looking at setting aside about $2 million for Charter. We'll start that process the first trimester in 2020 tax year, which would be this November. We're trying to minimize the impact to taxing districts, but we are also wanting to make sure that we have the worst case scenario covered. And like I mentioned to Doug and Commissioner Schaefer, we're actually having a difficult time getting legitimate information from the Department of Revenue. So that's why we're opting to do worst case scenario. We anticipate that when this appeal is settled, it'll be something far less than this worst case scenario, but it's much easier to have money instead of looking for money we don't have. So the intent is this fall we will set aside approximately $1 million, which is about half the liability out of the first trimester payment, and then the anticipation of doing the second $1 million in the 2021 year. From this point forward, we are going to do a set aside so it won't create any liability for the taxing districts. We just have to recoup 7 years worth of history, and that's why we're moving forward, trying to get this established for this 2021 year.
Paul, for the benefit of those who are listening, viewing, and so on, and me as well, can you give just a thumbnail history on why this and how this case came about?
Yeah, I sure can. Charter Communications, and along with some other telecommunication industry folks, feel that they're being valued inappropriately via entertainment / data / whatever else they want to call themselves. And it's my understanding that I believe Charter has gone up to tax court and then got referred back to, went up to Supreme Court and then got referred back to tax court. The Department of Revenue, I believe, was victorious at the Supreme Court level, and then it was moved back to tax court for further deliberation. The issue with this is because these communication companies don't consider themselves necessarily as entertainment, but they have combined services to where they're providing internet / television / communications all in one package, and that's where some of the discrepancy in valuation comes into play. Oregon is rather unique in the field of intangibles, and they have tried to get relief at the legislative level with regards to intangibles, and to date they have not fulfilled that quest. So again, we're at the mercy of the state in the valuation aspect, but our focus is protecting the taxing districts, and we actually are hopeful that as values continue to possibly increase in the future, my information that I've shared with the taxing districts is budget for 3% growth. This last year, the county experienced a 7% overall growth, and so the intent of taking the first payment out of this first trimester is it would not adversely impact budgeted numbers by the taxing district if we see the same type of increase for this year.
This has been in the process since 2009. That's 11 years. Is there any kind of an indication as to when it'll come to a conclusion?
We are completely at the mercy of the court system. This is one of the primary frustrations.
Doug question. Thank you.
Probably going to get the same answer.
Probably going to get the same answer. It just seems like
I'm sorry.
No, nothing.
Just seems like it's been a very, very long time for this to boil up and keep coming. But it's good that we set it aside, and I would move approval.
Second?
Got a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Behavioral health.
Probably resolve this about time you get the depot resolved.
This is probably true.
You should hope.
Behavioral health.
Is that my only item on the agenda, sir?
It is. You may hang up if you want.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
We'll stay around.
Behavioral Health Services RFI.
Okay, this is coming before the board to request the authorization to go out for what's called an RFI, request for information. This is less formal than a request for qualifications or a request for proposals. This is just determine who might be out there that could be interested in providing behavioral health services in Umatilla County. Behavioral health services would be including like mental health services as well as A&D. So this will just go out and see what providers are available and if they're interested in providing the services.
So moved.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
COVID-19 emergency leave policy.
Okay, this is due to the federal passage of the Families First Coronavirus Response Act, which created 2 additional available leaves for employees. One is an 80-hour sick leave, and the other one is an extended leave up to 12 weeks to care for a child that is school is closed or the state has also mirrored those as far as an extended leave for the school closures. And so in order to implement that within the county, this proposed Personnel Policy 4.3 incorporates all of those now new options for employees. And those are effective April today.
Does this distinguish between school closures for COVID-19 and other school closures?
It is strictly only for COVID-19. All of this release is only related to that.
Is that specified?
Yes. Okay. Yes. This is a COVID-19 emergency leave policy.
Is that what it's called?
Yes.
Then I move we adopt Personnel Policy 4.3B and authorize the chair to sign on behalf of the commissioners.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
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 Motion carries. Okay. Auditing services contract.
Don't we
Did
have
I
the
skip one?
COVID-19 business relief?
Sorry,
grant
business
program?
relief grant program. I was just testing Gail, see if her brakes worked.
She came all the way here to be with us in person.
Yeah. Only because I have another conference call going, so I didn't want to confuse my phone with multiple conference calls. So, Gail Nelson, Economic Development. We are looking at, we're seeking approval of our normal economic development grant funds that we have budgeted go into a quarterly grant program, and our grant committee met and is recommending that we basically suspend our normal grant program and use these dollars to put into an emergency relief grant for small businesses across the county. I will say we're still working on the framework with it. We're trying to get it spread out to as many people as we can to help, but also help them take advantage of other current funding that is starting to become available. So our framework, we're still adjusting that to what it would look like, but our overall request to the board is to release that we're able to use the $68,000 to our small business emergency grant.
When we discussed this, one of the biggest thing I wanted to make sure was that everybody in the county had access to it. So like we'd set aside a certain number for each area of the county. So one
Right,
area
so
didn't
our
end up with
framework
all of
is still focused on it being population. So there are more businesses in Hermiston than there are in Athena, but we would definitely, I guess you'd say, prorated or divided out percentage-wise so that all businesses in each community have the opportunity to apply. We've also decided to leave it as an application that would have a certain week or 2-week deadline on it so that people would have time to apply. We don't want it to be a mad dash on the internet because not everyone has the same access. So, and then also from those applications, that's no guarantee that they'll receive it. In order to keep it, again, trying to be fair to everyone, is do more of a lottery system within those percentages for each community. So, as fair as a system as we seem to have come up with.
No, and I appreciate that. My concern is for the single mother who's maybe a hairdresser at home and doesn't have access to the internet right away because she's dealing with family issues and other things, and then she misses that window of opportunity. So I wanted to make sure that every community had an opportunity to take a shot at this. So.
And we're looking at tying this also to potentially to some initiative on their part to apply for other grant funding that is available coming down through the various grants from the federal government. And if they are applying for that, they would become eligible. That would be an encouragement for them to get moving on their own behalf.
Every day it seems like we get more and more information that defines the support programs that are available to businesses. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, recently we have discovered in some cases there are some oversights that have come down in terms of who can get help and who can't. And I still would hope that we give careful attention to what kind of businesses, sole proprietor or otherwise, in the county that might have been overlooked in the help packages, that we look particularly at those kinds of people.
I spent a considerable amount of time yesterday reading through the bill, particularly the elements or the sections of it that dealt with employee benefit and business benefit, and that's been a question of mine, and I've been assured that there are some for the whole that I pointed out to them. I've been assured that there are some benefits coming or that are available under the existing legislation. And my only question is, where?
Yeah, I know you wrote a document
Yes.
that you shared with us that articulated what you perceived to be the holes, so that could,
Yes,
people that were overlooked, and so that tells me that you and Gail are looking at those people and
exactly.
trying to provide that help. Okay. I move we approve COVID-19 Business Relief Grant Program.
Second?
A motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
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 Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, and now it's the auditing services contract.
Okay, this proposal before the board is to extend the current contract with Barnett and Morrow for auditing services. This is for renewal for 3 years. It is recommended by the department to proceed with the renewal.
I would move approval.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay. Going out of my thing.
We've been pretty happy with Barnett and Morrow. Do we typically share with them that we appreciate their quality of their service?
Okay, vehicle purchase.
Okay, this is coming before the board to authorize the purchase of a van. This will be utilized by Administrative Services and Assessment and Taxation. Administrative Services has historically had a van for use to carry around some of their larger items that they need to transport. And then A&T would utilize it for training, so they can take more people to training at a time. This would be purchased through the Fleet Management Program through Enterprise. It was vetted through the Fleet Management Committee and recommended for approval.
Any questions?
Move approval.
Second.
Motion is second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay. And budget message. Oh, no, I'm sorry, I skipped one. Emergency purchases.
I'm going to abstain from this issue.
From the emergency purchases?
As part of the emergency declaration, you authorize emergency purchases to further enable quicker purchasers and ease of flexibility to hopefully locate and purchase equipment, particularly personal protective equipment. The proposal is to delegate the authority to purchase to Commissioner Murdoch and Robert Paul so that they can do immediate procurements for needed supplies and equipment in the event they exceed $5,000.
Hence the reason for the abstention.
Yes, it isn't.
I was thinking it was a different one.
It isn't a strong interest in being able to move quickly. I'm just not sure I ought to vote
Thought
on
he was
it,
making
giving
face-
myself expanded powers.
At home, I thought maybe, you know.
Well, I will make the motion to approve this
Second.
motion made and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries with one abstention. Now the budget
Are we
message.
finding, as just a afterthought here, are we finding that there are opportunities that we have that we need to move very quickly on to purchase?
Well, what was brought up to, maybe I'll just answer this one, and if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. What I heard was Dr. Hitzman say that there might be an opportunity where the health department might find a good quality number of masks or PPE or personal
source.
protective equipment,
Pocket it
and they
somewhere.
need to, but they got to do it now. And that was the reason for doing this, is that
Yeah. Any of the things we need to do to combat COVID-19, the equipment we need.
Yes.
You never know when it's going to come up, and it's typically a very small window.
Yeah. Okay. Budget message.
We have made some modifications to our proposed budget message based on the uncertainty of funding. We're in the process. We're going to approve our budget the third week of this month, but there are significant uncertainties out there in terms of state grant funding and even the flow of funds that might come from property taxes or other possible funds coming into the budget. So the budget message includes some provisions indicating that as we move towards approval, or the preliminary approval of the budget in April, that we restrict the growth of the budget and at this time not consider a number of other possibilities that we might consider after the picture is clear. But in this case, based on the magnitude of that move, I've asked that all three commissioners sign the budget message with those provisions rather than just, I normally sign it as the commissioner in charge of budget, but based on that particular edition, I would prefer to have all the commissioners sign it. So I would move we approve fiscal year 2021 budget message.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
And we'll modify the message to include the signatures of the commissioners. Okay?
Okay, Cook's Consulting Contract.
Okay, this is coming before the board for approval of a proposed contract for consulting work. This relates to the ordinance pipeline proposal. J.R. Cook has been assisting the county to this point to try to move the pipeline project forward. It now looks like it's getting closer to construction phase, and so this contract would utilize Mr. Cook to help with the development services for the project moving forward.
He's provided considerable assistance to this project in the past also. Is this from this point forward, or is he planning to include some of the work he's already done in this contract?
This point forward.
Based upon Commissioner Schaefer's explanation to me of the ultimate benefits of this action or this project, I would move for approval.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Okay, levy repair funding.
This is coming before the board for approval of an IGA with the City of Pendleton, along with the Umatilla River Water Control District. This is for repairs that were made to the Pendleton Zone 2 levee as a result of the February flood. The funding for the repairs are coming from the state of Oregon, specifically the Oregon Business Development Department. And as part of that funding, they had a number of contingencies that they wanted to be seen from the local sponsors and governments that look over the levee. Particularly, they want to make sure that it is available for 10 years, and so that will make sure that the levee's in place for 10 years and maintained for that period of time. So with this, along with the city and the water control district, the county would also maintain its interest in the levee, which at this point really is minimal for a 10-year period.
So is there any financial impact to us?
There may be in the event that there are inadequate fees to maintain the levee going forward. At this point, the city has been taking the lead within the sections within the city and the county, the sections outside the city limits. That is really two portions of the levee. One's agricultural and one is residential. And the Water Control District is seeking to assess its available permanent rate, which will provide maybe about $10,000 a year for maintenance. So in the event that is not adequate to maintain the levee to ensure satisfaction with the state or Corps of Engineers, then there might be some potential liability for the county.
Mr. Chair, Move approval of the intergovernmental agreement and authorize the chair to sign on behalf of the county.
Second?
Motion made, second. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Parkinson's Awareness Month Declaration. Did you want to handle that one?
Yeah, I sure can. It was requested of us from the Parkinson's support group that is in Umatilla County that we declare April as being Parkinson's Disease Awareness Month. And just a couple notes from it, that it does affect 10 million people worldwide, and there are 50 to 60,000 cases a year new. And there's a very strong effort being made to not only treat to find means of treating those who are afflicted by it, but also to means to prevent it in the future. And this just indicates our awareness of it. And I would move approval of BCC 2020-022.
Second?
The motion is second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Okay. Where's my cursor? Okay, board meeting schedule.
Reset January 15th to January 2nd. I move for approval.
22nd.
The motion is second. All in favor,
July, pardon me.
say aye.
July 15 to July 22.
I'm only trying to expedite
I
our
second,
action,
say
so-
aye.
Aye, so that Commissioner Alfred can get
Aye.
on the conference call.
Did you say aye?
Yes, I said aye.
Okay. Motion carries. Fire District 1 and annexation.
This is coming before the board. Just the immediate action is to set it for a hearing. There is a petition to annex the Hat Rock and the Salmon Point areas into the Umatilla County Fire District Number 1. Petition seems to meet the statutory requirements, so the next step would be to set it for a public hearing, which is proposed for May 6th.
I move for the adoption of BCC 2020 plus 025.
Second.
Motion is second. Any further discussion, say aye. All in favor of the motion, say aye. Aye. Okay.
I suggest we forego our commission report so Commissioner Alfred can get on the conference call.
I agree with that. Okay, with that,
10 o'clock.
we are adjourned.